Shalom everyone, and here we're starting all over again from the beginning, Bereshit, although Bereshit does not mean in the beginning, but it means something else. And let's see if we can really understand what the true meaning of Bereshit is. Bereshit, the first word in the Torah. I'm not going even to pretend to say that I can explain it, because just I'm saying every year, just the book of Tikkunei Zohar is a whole book with 70 different interpretations of the word Bereshit. However, every spiritual teaching has something similar in explaining the power of Bereshit. When you understand the seed, you can understand the tree. When you understand the cause, you can understand the effect. Which means, when we can understand Parashat Bereshit, which is the first parasha in the book of Genesis, the beginning of the Torah, we will have over there the seed of whatever is going to happen later, especially everything that is going to happen in our lives or everything that already happened. Why? Because understanding the seed allows us to be able to come out to the branches and to see all the connections and to realize it is a tree. So you can tell where are the roots, where are the branches, and it's even more than that. There is I remember my chemistry professor in the university. He said in the beginning that he told that the story about few scientists coming into a dark room, and there's an elephant, and but it's a dark room, and they're being asked, what is it? So the ones who touch, find the legs of the elephant, they say it's pillars, and somebody is catching the tail, so it's a brush, or the trunk. So this is a pipe, which means none of them really understand that it's an elephant. Okay, so the moment somebody tells them it is an elephant, they can figure out there's a connection between the pillars, the brush, the trunk, and so on. Why? Because it is an elephant. So this is why it is so important to understand Parashat Bereshit, because that will help us understand whatever came out from the seed of the whole creation. So, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Bereshit, the word in Hebrew Bereshit, does not mean in the beginning. In the beginning is ba'atchala. Okay, Bereshit means at the head of the things. Why? Because if you want to have a comparison between human action to the seed and the tree, there is the thought, and the deed, and the action. Okay? The thought is happening in the head. The root of the Hebrew word Bereshit is Rosh, a head. So, the closer way to translate it into English is that at the head of the things, God created the heaven and the earth, which means we are talking about something, it's an example, something that happens in the head that is the value of what we're talking about. And let's see, what does that mean? I'm reading right now from the commentary of the Ramban, the Nachmanides, about these basic words. He is opening the Nachmanides. He lived in the 13th century not far in Girona, not far from Barcelona, in Catalonia. Okay, but then he had to run away for his life because of persecutions, and finally he came to Israel, and he passed away over here. So the Nachmanides quotes few generations earlier Rashi, that he's quoting also earlier. The question is, why do we have to start talking about the beginning of the creation? Okay, why can't we just start from the Exodus? When God takes the Hebrew nation out of Egypt and gives them the Torah. Why is not that's a big discussion in many sources. Okay? And the answer that Rashi is giving, of course, as I said, he takes it from earlier commentaries. And he says, Koach ma'asav yigid la'amo. The power, the force behind his deeds, God is telling his nation that one day, that's what Rashi wrote in the 11th century, and again, he took it from the Midrash. Okay, and that is okay, I can't find where it came from, but he says the Midrash that says, one day the nations are going to come to you, the nation of Israel, you're robbers. You took a land that does not belong to you. So what are you going to tell the nations when they're going to accuse you for robbing the land of Israel? Okay? And you should answer, according to the book of Genesis, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay? And that's why the land belongs to him, not to humans. And he gives the land to whoever he wants to give it to. And when he wanted, he gave it to us. When he wanted, he gave it to somebody else. And therefore, Rashi says, that's what he's going to say. And that, so writing the whole book of Genesis just as hasbara, explaining to the nations how come we live in a land that they claim belong to somebody else. No, it's like, so that's one way to explain it. But the deeper way, but there's a deeper way. ויש לשאול בה, so the Nachmanides is asking, we should ask, כי צורך גדול הוא להתחיל התורה מבראשית. It's a very important need to start from the beginning of the creation. Why? כי הוא שורש האמונה. This is the seed. This is the seed, not of the description of how the universe is built. It's the seed of emunah. Emunah, translated somehow into faith. Faith. Real faith means that you accept the idea that the world is not kadmon. The world does not exist forever. Okay? The world has been created by God. Why is that so important for the faith? And we can go through so many explanations, but I think to whatever I heard, one of the major things that I heard, the best explanation that I heard from my teacher was as follows. When we go to the next few verses in the book of Genesis, so verse 2 says, "V'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom," and the land was chaos and darkness above the ravine. There are all kinds of words over there that it's not very easy to understand what they are. And the Nachmanides is saying, you have to remember that the Nachmanides is being considered to be the father of all modern Kabbalists in the world, which means he was the first of the school that all Kabbalists later on, we are talking about the next 800, 700 years that came after, till today, all of them somehow stem out from the Nachmanides. Okay? And he was a great Kabbalist. And he says a few things. That first of all, he says that the whole story of the 7 days of the creation can never be explained and understood literally the way they are written. It can't. It is a very, very schematic, very enigmatic story. It's good just for people to understand that the world has been created. Okay? Just to understand what the first few verses of Genesis hide, it's you go to the Zohar, and there are few, as I said, few volumes just describing how the universe is being created and how is that encoded in every word in the book of Genesis. Just a few, like the first thing is when we start in verse 1 till verse 5, verse 5, Vayikra Elohim laor yom, and God called the light day, velachoshech, the night, he called it, the darkness he called it night, vayerev vayiboker yom echad, and it was an evening, there was a morning, one day. By this, if you really study the Zohar, by this 5 verses, and the creation is already completed. Those 5 verses are a code of the whole creation that includes all physics, all chemistry, all sciences, the Big Bang, before and after, during, and so on. Everything is included over here, till the explanation of how this universe is structured and working. It's already completed, verse number 5. Okay? It's already completed by verse number 5. There's nothing more than that. Okay, so, however, that's why you cannot read that literally, because the amount of books written about those 5 verses, it's beyond the few volumes of the Zohar. In the Zohar, it's about at least 5 volumes, okay, of the Zohar itself. And there are also the Tree of Life, and there's so many of Rabbi Zakluria. There's that we talk about, it can come up to maybe thousands of books in Jewish writing, just Kabbalistically, that how the whole universe is structured to the detail, that these books cover whatever physics already discovered and is going to discover. Okay? Whatever psychology discovered and is going to discover. And so it's all contained over here. Okay, so of course, there are many, many issues inside, but the question is, what's in it for us? And this is the question. What do we want to gain from this parasha, especially this year, 5783, in which we are, humanity, we are right now in a beginning of like a storm. Just I'll give you a little surprise if you didn't hear it before. The Armageddon War started already years ago. However, the scale of the war is growing by day to day, and we are now facing a very, you don't have to be a great scholar or an expert to know that humanity is facing a very tumultuous year or years. We are in a big, huge storm that whatever, that even we spoke about it, the corona, the things that happened during the plague change us forever. The results are not visible yet, and it's just another layer that shook of powers that shook the whole infrastructure of human society, culture, religion, economy, whatever you call it, as the big infrastructure or the big intricate weaving of human life on this planet. We're facing a crossroad that is so important, and the tools to deal with what's coming, that is not easy. It's very challenging for each one of us. Very challenging. The tools to deal with it are here, and therefore it is the time to reveal those secrets that were hidden for so many millennia, because we need that in order to be able to withstand and even thrive, not just survive, thrive through the tumultuous days waiting for us. So let's go back to the Nachmanides. Nachmanides, what he was saying, and again, he says it very clearly. Whoever thinks that the world was there forever has no faith, and he's kofer ba'ikar. He's a heretic. So what's wrong? Somebody's a heretic, so what? In Hebrew, you don't say heretic, you say kofer ba'ikar. Ein Yud Kuf Resh. Ikar in Hebrew means the essence. The moment the person is denying there is an essence to the creation, it's like, today, it's very simple. It's like somebody who's offline, off the grid. You know, a lot of people, you hear about them, that they just simply fed up with modern life. It's so much full of lies. So they went to live off the grid. You know, it's very nice in the beginning to live off the grid, but living off the grid, it's kind of finding your own cocoon. But you know who lives in cocoons? Who lives in a cocoon? You know, in Hebrew you call it golem. Golem means in Hebrew, the word golem is also cocoon, means also when you want to tell about somebody that this person he's not cooked, he's not baked enough, he's not even started to be baked. He says, so what can you do? He's incapable of nothing. You call him golem, cocoon. So that's what happens when you're off the grid. He can't be off the grid and continue, because you are a human being. And being a human being, you're part of the grid of the human souls that are created in the book of Bereshit. In this parasha. When Adam is being created, later on, still, chapter 1, and it says that we have to understand, Adam in the beginning it says he was created from the earth. But there was no physical earth at that time yet. So what does it mean, earth? So the Kabbalists explain the word Adam. Yes, it's coming from Adama, earth, but in that stage there's an earlier seed, Adame le'elyon. I will resemble the divine. So how is that connected to the words of the Nachmanides? What Nachmanides is saying, and I'll explain it with my teacher's words, he said, we need to know deep inside that the whole universe started from one point. One, what they call in physics today, singularity. The whole universe started from one point that is just full of endless. Why? Because the only way you can describe the endless universe is with a point. The moment you have more than one point, it's not endless. There is an end, a boundary between the moment you can discern between one point and another. So it's not the endless. There's already a boundary. There's already a differentiation. The moment you differentiate between darkness and night, and darkness and light, night and day, there's a differentiation here. The words of the Torah are very precise. There was a night, there was a day, one day. One means there's no other. And that one that was created by a creator, everything we could think about, we could express, was one. Why is that so much important for us? And the answer, I think the best, as my teacher used to say, if we can feel, agree, somehow connect to the idea that once we've been one, It's the only way that we can have a real true hope that one day we'll become one again. And being one, there's two aspects to it. One aspect is one between humanity and the creation. Together as one, that's one aspect. And the creation, humanity and the creation is united and one, and is then united with the creator. Why is that so important? It's not just important if you want, if you're interested in religion, the rules are very important. No, it's important for your sanity. It's important for your creativity. It's important for your success. It's important for everything that humans care for. And I'll explain why. Because all of these basic rules for success, happiness, whatever we really want to achieve are here in this Parasha BeResheet, because it is the seed of the whole creation. So, why is it so important? The moment we think, the world was always there and will always be there. Relative to us, humanity, scientists say, maybe the solar system will live a few more billion years and then it will explode like other solar systems. Who cares? I won't be there. Okay? So what if it started? What if it's not? It is important. It is important because the moment we understand the purpose, the moment we connect to the idea that there is a purpose to the creation, then life has a totally different value. And that what the war that we are at right now is about. It's about morals, it's about faith, it's about ideas, it's about what is important, it is about values and morality. Who writes them? Who invents them? Who brings them to the world? Are they universal? Which basically that's what Bereshit is saying. Are they creating by an endless force that nourishes everything? Or humans have to invent the rules as, by the way, as they go, whatever is comfortable for them, these are the rules they invent, which is very dangerous. Because we know the moment people started to talk about random evolution, Darwin, and all that what came around it, that brought into the world two great ideologies, communism and Nazism, that the result was the massacre of more than 100 million people in the name of the better good. That was a direct result of people denying the unity of the creation. Because why is that so important? When we have faith, and faith that the world started from singularity, from a point that has no dimension, not of time, not of space, that we are all one, and that the whole universe, the creation and the creator are one, and there is a force that gives everybody's life, and therefore every part of the creation, because it came from that singularity, it came from that one point that the Kabbalists explain. What is this point? The only way to say there was a night, there was a day. Okay? There was a creator and there was a creation. The creator is the giver of the light, and the creation is the recipient of that light. What is the real creation? Because the energy was there endlessly. The only thing that really is the creation is the vessel, the darkness that need to receive. This is the creation by itself. All the rest was not ex nihilo. It was something from something, like energy that emanates from the Creator. Okay? And let there be light. That's energy. And what the Zohar is saying, all that is good is coming from that light, which means when we experience the feeling of good, it is derivated, it is an offshoot, an extension of that original light spoken about here at the beginning of the parasha. Okay, so when you understand that we are beings that were created to receive that light, it gives us so many understandings about the calling of humanity. That we were created, in the words of the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, we were created for one purpose and one purpose alone, which is receiving the light and the pleasure the Creator wants to share with us. Which means the highest level of worship of humans is being in a state of pleasure. And as long as you don't understand that, you're not there yet in the process of your spiritual growth. And what they say, if the end is well, all is well. And if it's not well, it's not the end. Which means the destiny and the calling of every human being is pleasure, happiness. And when we look at the main pillars of modern society, okay, of the great democracies in the world, the main pillar, first of all, is that every human being was born, was born with the right for happiness, and no one has the right to take it away from him. Okay? As long as we do not understand that it is a universal law, this is the pillar upon which the universe is standing, and whoever is trying to fight it is fighting a lost fight. Why? Because the moment you're trying to fight against the laws of the universe, it's like somebody is going to try to build a city, but is going to negate all the laws of gravity. You're going to lose a lot of money, because no building is going to stand if you're not going to go by the laws of gravity. Okay, very important, very simple. These are the laws of the universe, and these laws cannot be changed. And you cannot say, oh, but for the better good, one day you'll understand why we massacred so many millions, because the few ones that are going to be left, they are going to be happy. You know, some religions believe in that. But that's not monotheism. Monotheism, speaking about one God, is everybody's God, and because He is one, He's never changing. And because He's never changing, He can never change His opinion about you and me and everybody else. No matter how lost a human being can be, you cannot change God's opinion about him. The question is, how long will it take for that person to realize what he was created for? 1 lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 30 lifetimes, 50 lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes. That's what it says in, on the 2 tablets, that God remembers the mercies, the kindness for thousands of generations. This is the main understanding. So when we understand that, it is so much easier to understand the pain and the suffering and the misery of humanity, because nobody has the right to tell me how to be happy. Nobody, not in the name of religion, not in the name of science, not in the name of psychology, whatever, nobody has the right to tell me how to be happy, because my right to be happy is not negotiable. Okay, that's one thing that is so important to understand. We came from there, we're going there, and that's what it's going to be. Whoever is trying to fight it is going to lose, as all the great tyrannies, dictators, villains in the history of humanity. Basically, they ended up always in the trash can of history. Okay, so that's one very important concept, and that when the Maimonides is speaking about the seed, the root of emunah, faith. Faith in what? Emunah, when you study Kabbalah, I don't know, a lot of concepts that I'm talking about over here. If you didn't study beginner's course for Kabbalah, so it's very hard to understand. But to understand that whatever we know, which is our thinking, our logic, time and space, dimensions and rules, physics, all of it is a creation. Okay? It is a creation. When we're speaking about the source of all of it, the creator himself, which is endless, which is beyond the time or space dimensions, okay? He is not under those rules. So therefore you cannot change the rules because you cannot change the one who created them, which is eternity. Okay, so if we understand that, so that brings us to understand the next thing. So the whole creation is already there, completed totally, the moment it says there was a night, there was a day, one day. Okay? Night means darkness. Okay? As it says so. The darkness. What is darkness? The vessel, which is the essence of the creation, the essence of every human being. What makes us move? Darkness. If I am completely fulfilled, I don't move. You know, there was a great French philosopher, Descartes, and he said, I think, therefore I exist. He was not really correct. Why do you think? Because you need something. You have some touch of darkness. Otherwise, just think about it. If you think about real moments of true happiness and fulfillment, how many thoughts did you have at those moments? If you experience true enlightenment and happiness, this is the most quiet moment in your life. So, you think because you need. You think because you desire, because you want, because you experience lack. Okay? So I desire, therefore I think, therefore I exist. The source of existence is a desire. This is the teachings of Rabbi Ashlag, the founder of the modern Kabbalah movement, that he basically frames it in such a simple way. Because if we understand that the sages for thousands of years are saying God created humanity just to enjoy his pleasure. In order to enjoy his pleasure, you need to have the desire for that pleasure. Because, so you can talk about it, we were created as God's customers. He is the manufacturer of the pleasure, we are the customers. So we are the need, we are the market. And that's our job. Which means, I'll give it very simple example. Very simple example, the most simple. A human being is not designed to be upset, miserable, and depressed. How do we know? The moment a person becomes depressed, the whole system of first the immune system, blood system, whatever, they start to collapse. We are not designed to be miserable, upset, and depressed. It's against our nature. Okay? We were created to be happy. That's our calling. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Again, to sum up what I just said till now, the highest level of a human existence is serving the Creator by being happy. And we all know it's not so easy to be happy. Now the question is, so why isn't that easy to be happy? And the answer is like this. We go back now to the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, and he's quoting from the Talmud, saying, whoever, the Talmud is giving this in a phrase, Whoever eats or gets his sustenance from another person without giving anything, which means whoever lives on free lunches, cannot dare to look at the face of the person that feeds him. Why? People feel very, very deeply this is or very uncomfortable when they do not earn their own living. Okay? A lot of people do live on other people's expense, but it's almost impossible to do that and at the same time to be happy. Which means if our calling, our mission, our job, the whole purpose of our creation is to be happy, you can't be happy if you eat without working for it. And therefore, when we get the hint that God created Adam in his image, of course God has no physical image, so what image we're talking about? We, as I explained it many, many times, the easiest way to explain it is that the image of the creator can be only mental, and it's made of three aspects. One, the creator is independent. What's the pillar of modern society? Independence. Liberty. The liberty to be able to own property, think, own ideas, trade property, trade ideas freely without people harassing me about it. Okay? Freedom and liberty are part of our existence, and no one can destroy that because this is a biblical law, because we were created in his image. And since the creator is the image of liberty, the epitome of liberty, we humans, his creation, must have liberty, and that's where we are going at. And of course, we know that for every revolution, there will be a counter-revolution, which means every time you see humanity moving forward, there will be a lot of, there are the laws of physics of, for every action that is being applied of force, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so now because humanity is moving into a very important stage of realizing what does it mean true liberty, the liberty to trade, the liberty to think, to express your thinking, there is a huge opposition to that, and because it is a transformation in a magnitude humanity has never experienced before, especially with all the help of the technology around. So that cannot happen truly easy. Why? Now we bring the next thing. The next aspect of being a creator is creativity. The creator created a universe that is so multi-structured and colors and scales, the scales of everything, the scales of big and small, the scales of colors, taste, smell, everything is so beyond our imagination. People need to be creative in order to be happy, because that's another aspect of being a creator. In order to be creative, you cannot be suppressed, not by humans, not by nature, and that's where humanity is going. If you look at the history of humanity, it is not just being liberated in a structure, a political structure, a social structure, also by every means, every other means. This is very important. So, and therefore, it's almost impossible to find happy, lazy people. The most happiest people I met, I don't know about you, but I think you can agree to that also, are the ones who are creative. And that brings us to the third concept of the third aspect of the image of the creator, which is the creator created us so he can share with us. I never met happy, selfish people. In order to meet our calling, in order to manifest the image of the Creator within us, we need the idea of caring for others, which means the whole idea that a society, a stable, successful society, is built over the idea that I'm here to be there for you. Why? And that's the difference, what the Torah is teaching us. I'm doing it because without it, I cannot reach my goals. Without being united with others, without serving others, without caring for others, without loving others, there will never be a way that I can manifest myself and reach my own happiness. So again, the three concepts that we, humanity, must apply in order to find our peace, to find our happiness, to find our calling is independence, which is liberty, creativity, which is other aspect of liberty, but it's also, a lot of people, you can do whatever you want. They don't want to do anything, okay? So you have to create, and the most important of creativity is to create inside yourself. There are a lot of people that do a lot of creativity. They work a lot, but you meet them, and then 2 years later, you meet them, and they're in the same place. Oh, meanwhile, they created a lot of artwork and stuff like whatever. How much of creativity did they create out of themselves? The feeling, one of the most liberating feeling in the world is to realize that I can recreate myself. I can overcome limitations. I can overcome challenges. I can recreate myself better, different, higher, happier, from 1 year to another, from 1 month to another, from 1 day to another. That is the essence of real, true creativity. People who are like Walking Dead, they're never happy. People say, oh, that's not my cup of tea, and I'm not used to it, and that's my grandmother never did it. And that's, these kind of people that always against change. They try to cocoon, and we said already something about cocoons. That's not a very high quality. Okay, so that's one very important base of the rules that humanity has to reveal internally. That's what the Nachmanides is saying. What does it mean, kofer ba'ikar? Translated wrongly into a heretic. Kofer ba'ikar is somebody who denies the essence of the creation. A, there is a creation. B, it started from an endless point, from that point of singularity. C, it's going again to that singularity. And D, the rules are fixated. We just have to reveal them, and you cannot change the rules. And another thing, we are all destined to be happy because that's how the universe was created, and you cannot change that forever. However, as we said before, everything was there for us, all the happiness, the fulfillment, the joy, and the pleasure. When it says, and there was a night, there was a day, one day. How can I create? How can I overcome? How can I be independent? And therefore, verse 6 in Genesis chapter 1, Vayomer Elohim yeh rakia betoch hashamayim. And God said, let there be rakia. Let's see what Rashi is saying. What is rakia? So rakia means it's a kind of separation, a curtain. It's something that you flatten it so it creates a boundary between one space and another. What happened on the second day? Second. What is second? Different. In Hebrew, sheni is second, shoneh, different. Differentiation, fragmentation, confusion. loss. Okay? Hell was created, the sages are saying, on the second day, suffering and misery. Whatever that separates a person from his or her goals. Why? I can reach independence, creativity, and sharing when I'm on the road for my fulfillment. Now that I achieve my fulfillment, it is acquired, and now it is really mine. And now I don't have any problem enjoying all of that good, all of that endless light, because I achieved it. And therefore, the whole creation had a purpose from the second day and on. The purpose was to create an arena with enough confusion, challenges, and option for mistakes, so we can put things together and feel that we did it. By the way, a farmer, and let's say about a farmer that he grows the trees. Does he grow the trees? No. What he's doing is planting existing trees with existing DNA, okay, that he chooses, but he did not create that DNA, okay? He did not create that concept of a peach tree or an orange tree. That was there. He just improved it. And by improving it, he feels so much better about himself. Again, and who grows the tree? He plants the tree. Does he stand next to the tree all the time and tell him to grow? No. What the farmer does is to supply with the tree with the best environmental conditions, so the tree grows to its best. Okay? So you don't really grow the tree, you just allow the tree to grow. And if the tree has a terrible DNA, and whatever you're going to do for it, you're not going to get the crops that are going to make you the money that you're looking for. Okay? So the whole story of the separation of the universe into many, many pieces that you always need to collect them. You need to take the wood from the forest, you need to take other aspects from here and so on, until you put together a building, a machine, of piece of furniture. Today, you just one piece of clothing. You can have the cotton growing in India, but then it's being weaved in Vietnam, and then it's being given a color. Could be in Thailand, and then into strings, and then the whole thing is becoming a garment somewhere else, but the buttons are being created, and so you can look at like half of humanity is involved directly or indirectly in every piece of garment that you're wearing. And that's about how the singularity is continuing with this idea of global village, that we are all interdependent. We need to share with each other. We need to create for each other. We need to be independent so we can be able to generate what the others need from us. Whoever experienced what life is about, anything of what is called career, it's all about these concepts. Okay, so as we continue in the Parasha, just to get the basic ideas that this Parasha is giving to all of us, just to understand what life is about. Chapter 2 is about Shabbat. And about Shabbat, the legend is saying, I won't go too much into it, but it's very important to understand that. God created so much chaos for us to put it together and to enjoy the feeling of I put it together. The problem is there was so much chaos that there was a fear, so the legend is saying, by the sages, that God had to put an end to the chaos. And how did he put an end to the chaos? Shabbat. Shabbat is a creation of itself in which the spirit, the power, the energy, the force of the singularity reappears again in what it is called the Holy Spirit of Shabbat. So once a week, we leave the creativity, the fragmentation, the chaos, all of those challenges, and once a week, we allow the Creator to infuse within us that power of the singularity all over again. That the whole world is complete, the whole world is in harmony. And when you really connect to that power of Shabbat, you feel the world to come. That's why it says, Olam haba. Shabbat is like the world to come. Why? If you allow the Spirit, the Holy Spirit of Shabbat to be infused into you, by not negating Shabbat, but not creating chaos, or dealing with chaos, or dealing with chaos, then you allow the Spirit of Shabbat to enter you, you feel somehow that wholenessness, that completion, that shlemut, that completion, shalom of the world to come. Why? So we can understand, feel emunah again, connection to this is how it feels, this is how it did feel in the beginning, that's how it feels when you do the job, and that's how it's going to be felt when we complete reaching our calling. So Shabbat, and therefore the Shabbat over here is so important. And therefore when you say, "Vayichulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am," there's so many ways to explain that. That's Genesis chapter 2 verse 1. And one of the explanations about Vayichulu means kilu, exterminated. The heaven and the earth and all the armies of all the separation and the variety of all of that stuff coming to an end on Shabbat and so we have like a timeout once a week in which we immerse in that harmony, singularity, unity, love, unconditional love to everything, to everyone, to the creation, to the Creator, to the creatures. And you deal with nothing else but that. So you can, the next day, start all over knowing, remembering where you came from and where you're going to. Okay, so that's what is the whole thing about Shabbat, how important it is. And then, as we finish with Shabbat, we go to verse 4 in chapter 2. Ele toldot hashamayim v'aretz v'yibaram. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth as they were created. B'yom asot Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim. On the day that the Lord God made earth and heaven. It's like there's another story of the creation. What's the purpose of telling the whole story all over again? There's a very important idea behind it. It appears in two very important commentaries that appear over here. The word in verse 4, Ele todot hashamayim v'aretz v'yibaram. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth as they were created. Behibaram. Okay, it's one word in Hebrew, but it's many words in English. But the sages are saying Behibaram is the same word as Avraham. Abraham. And what does it say? The whole creation was created for one purpose, that Abraham, the patriarch, Avinu, the father, will come to the world and understand what the whole game is about. Which means, if we understand that the whole creation was conditioned in order to create a human mind that understands that we are here to receive pleasure by creating pleasure. Okay? This is the most important thing to remember. That brings us to, again, singularity and quantum mechanics that says that really the world evolution is not random. That's what the Torah is saying. There was an evolution, yes, was not random. if the evolution process did not come to fruition by Abraham realizing who created the universe and what's the purpose of a human being, and therefore you have to be independent, you have to be creative, you have, what's the biggest startup in history? Monotheism. It's the biggest. How much money it's making today? All the printing, all the books behind it, all the study behind it, all the evolution of human thinking coming from that place. We did not apply it yet thoroughly enough, but it's still working 4,000 years after Abraham. So that transformation of humanity by the coming of Abraham, and that he got it, that was conditioned. And then it continues, the next verse, וכל שיח השדה תרם יהיה בארץ. And then it says, and the bushes of the field were not there in the earth. Verse 5, chapter 2. וכל עשב השדה תרם יצמח. And the grass of the field did not grow yet, because the Lord God did not bring rain yet on the earth. כי לא המטיר אדוני אלוהים על הארץ, ואדם אין לעבוד את האדמה. So what does it say over here? Till the creation of Adam, there was nothing. If a tree fell in the forest and there was no one over there, did it make a sound? The answer, no. Quantum mechanics says if nobody measured it, it did not exist. That's something that is so hard to understand. We truly believe, since we are kids, that whatever is there, if I can touch it, if I can measure it, it's there if I'm touching it or not. Modern science is not so sure about it. Modern science is speaking about that our thinking has much more power over reality than we can think about. That whatever we experience is an interaction between a human abstract thinking and mind and all of those forces of nature. It's not very easy to understand. But if you go to the Jewish thinking, the Jewish halakha, the Jewish law, it's all about consciousness recognition. We know that life is a result of a consciousness. Why? Because when it says "V'chol siach hasadeh terem yeh ba'aretz," and there were no bushes. Who cares about bushes? Since when we care about bushes? Say it does. What about trees? But the word siach is a code. Siach means a bush, but siach means also speech. When we speak about evolution, there are 4 layers according to Judaism: inanimate kingdom, vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, and the speaking kingdom. Okay? Not Adam. What makes Adam a human being? That Adam el Elyon, that has to resemble the Creator, the abstract thinking, the ability to speak. How long does that exist? How long does that exist? How long people can write information, speak, leave information behind them, that you read that information and you can relive the feeling, the ideas, whatever, or see in the eyes of your mind. That is about 6,000 years, not before. Whatever was before, they looked like humans, but they were not really humans, because they were not medaber. They did not have the ability of real, true speech. That what makes us real, resembling the Creator. Why? Only when Adam was created, and then his first job was to give names to everything, because then it says before he did that, nothing exists. So if a tree fell in the forest, and no human was around it. Did it make a noise? If there was a dinosaur and there were no humans around, was there a dinosaur? So how can we find the bones and so on? Yes, the Torah says there was an evolution, but this evolution, now with quantum physics we can understand, that was in unmanifested stage. It was in a different realm, in a different level. The reality that we know, the Bible is saying, the Torah is saying, appears only with human conscience, human conscious mind, human thinking and imagination. That's where reality that we know appears. Okay? Why is that important? Because if my speaking, my thinking is the source of creation, I need to take responsibility for my thinking and for my speaking. And that's another step of our reality. One of the biggest issues of modern Armageddon war, all those ideas and political fightings, do we give people the total responsibility for their own destiny, freedom? Or they're not very good at it, so we have to decide it for them. Do you understand that, for the better good, if you know what's good for somebody else, you deprive him from his most important core needs. It's not the need, the biggest need is not food. The biggest need is not water. The biggest need is liberty. The biggest need is the freedom to search and to find what is my own good. You can't tell me what's my own good. And the biggest need is to find and to be supported that whatever I go through, bad or evil or good, pleasure or suffering, I am totally responsible for that. I'm mentioning this once in a while. A few years ago in the Time magazine, there was a research brought over there. It was a summary of tens of thousands of different kinds of research that were done. Billions of dollars was invested in that. In many countries, many universities, and many places. And the research was, who is right, the optimist or the pessimist? And the answer was, both of them are right. Why? Because pessimistic people, they live less, they make less money, they're less lucky, okay? They're more miserable, so they're right. Optimistic people live longer, make more money. Optimistic people are more, they are more successful 5 times more in making business than pessimistic people, which means take responsibility for your outlook at life. If you take the responsibility for the way you perceive reality, that's what the Torah is teaching us. You determine how reality is unfolding in front of your eyes. That's the purpose of the creation. That's when we're speaking about speech and thinking. That's when we're speaking about Abraham and Adam, as reality is a result of humans being able to figure out there's a creation, to humans realizing there's a purpose for the creation, and the purpose is good. If you don't understand that, you are not a heretic, you're kofer baikar, you're disconnected from the network. So you become a cocoon. Okay? Not good for so much. Okay? And that goes on. We can see it when in the creation there was the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Why did God create that option in the first place? If the God is all good, don't give us a choice. How many thinking about of the last 2 centuries, they're trying, or even since the Greek philosophers, how do we force people to behave? You cannot force people to behave. People are not built to be forced. The moment you force them, they will rebel. not today, tomorrow, not tomorrow, the day after. You cannot force people to be great. You cannot force people to be happy. You cannot force people to be successful. Remember that. You need to give them the options, and they have to take the responsibility. And responsibility goes together with liberty, creativity, and sharing. Neither of these can be forced. And if you force it, you go against the laws of nature, and you're going to pay dearly for that. Okay, so then after the sin, we have one big part of the sin. And what's a big part of the sin? That when it says the moment they ate from the fruit, I'm talking about Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And the woman saw that the tree is good. Okay, she enjoyed it. And she felt lust. Oh, what's the problem with lust? There's a difference between desire and lust. Why? When we desire, it's legitimate. We were created to desire. We're supposed to desire. We're supposed to dig in and to find and to excavate all the deepest desires we have. It has to be conditioned by, manifesting these conditions is you cannot hurt other people's liberties. You cannot hurt other people's creativities. You have to respect the image of God in these people. You have to love them unconditionally if you really want to fulfill your desires. Lust is something out of the grid again. What is lust? I want it now, and who cares about responsibility? Who cares about divinity? Who cares about God, about rules? That's what lust is about. That was a sin. And therefore, when we achieved lust, everything collapsed. Reality collapsed. Pessimism had been created. Evil has been created. The lesser thinking has been created, but that choice had to be there. And to manifest that, we can say when God finds out, he's asking Adam, why are you hiding? It's like sarcastically. Why God, he cannot see behind the tree. He is the tree. He is behind the tree. He's in front of the tree. He's above the tree. He's below the tree. Can you hide? There's no space available that there's no God in it, even in darkest places. So what's Adam's answer? Verse 12, chapter 3. Vayomer Adam haisha asher natata imadi, hi natna li. The woman that you gave to me, she did it. One finger we always point at somebody else. Oh, it's his responsibility. No, you want to do your job, you have to take responsibility. Oh God, why did you give me that woman? So the moment we blame others, we also blame God. Why did you let them do this to me? But three fingers point at us. The majority. That's a hint. Why are we doing that? Why are we blaming this way? We have to take responsibility. That's how we can fix the sin. That's how we can be the creators of our lives. So then Cain and Abel are being born. They were not born in such a happy occasion, okay? And then there's already a competition between the two brothers. And Genesis chapter 4, verse 4. And it says there, they're bringing their offerings to God. So Abel is bringing his offerings. And then verse 5, okay, Vaisha Adonai el hevel uminchato vel Kain vel minchato lo sha. God turned to Abel's offering, but he did not turn to Cain's offering. It doesn't matter what it is. Vayichar leKain mod vayiplu panav, and Cain was very upset, and his face became long and sour. Verse 6. Vayomer Adonai el Kain, and God says to Cain, Lama chara lecha? Why are you so upset? Lama naflu panecha? Why is it your face became so long? And then this verse 7, הלא אם תיטיב שאת, אם לא תיטיב לפתח אתה תרובץ. You have the choice. If you do your best, you will thrive. If you do the good and the best, then the sin lies at the gate. That's, like in a nutshell, human life. God says it to Cain. It's all your choice. Take responsibility. I won't ever do it for you. Why isn't God taking care of it and do it for us? That God cannot take our liberty away. He's only capable of giving us pleasure. Taking our liberty away, that's worse than giving us pleasure, than not giving us pleasure. Taking liberty away, that's the biggest pain. You can give people so much, but if you take their liberty away, they can't enjoy all of what you give them, the presents. And therefore, when Cain is killing Abel, is after God made it clear to him, you are in a big, big danger and you have to take responsibility for that. I cannot stop you from making the mistakes. Society cannot stop us from making mistakes. Society can lead, can preserve, can guard, but society cannot pretend to do it for us. No one can do it for us. And that's the biggest message. So we'll finish with chapter 6, verse 5. וירא אדוני כי רבה רעת האדם בארץ. And God sees that the evil of Adam is very big in the earth. וכל יצר מחשבות ליבו רק רע כל היום. And the inclination of the thoughts of his heart are evil all day long. Okay? So, he created us this way. And that's what we chose. But remember, when God, it says it's a thoughts of his heart, not his soul. Remember that. Our soul, as we said, is always trying to get closer and more similar to God. We have a physical body that is the result of lust. And therefore, he will pull us down, and our job is to earn divinity by overcoming those lusts, those negativities, and fixing, correcting the sin. And by this we can achieve the resemblance to divinity, the closeness, and the true fulfillment. And that is how the whole Parasha of BeResheet is giving us in a nutshell our purpose for the coming year. It is all about one thing. The year has commenced just 2 days ago in Simchat Torah. According to the Kabbalists, God gave us another year. He gave us another opportunity. He gave us another way to thrive and to succeed and to find a calling. Now that we went through such an overhaul, such a restart, hard restart, our job is to do one thing: reenact the rules. That's what the book of Genesis is about. It's starting with Parashat BeResheet, then with Noach. We'll see it with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To the whole stories, all the stories of Genesis is basically reenacting the main rules, but all of them are condensed, concentrated here in Parashat BeResheet. Thank you, and have a really enjoyable and successful journey in the coming year. Remember, this is what the story is about. You look around, you see chaos in the politics, economy, whatever. That's what we have to be focused on. Those concepts. And when we think this way, what the Zohar is saying, we will be protected like Noah's Ark, and we'll be able to thrive through all what's going around us. Thank you so much, and again, good luck in the journey.
Thank you.